Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fan fiction it inspires. I'm Sandra.
I'm Carly, and this week we are discussing The Boys. Now that it is finished, now that we've all seen Jensen in all his beautiful entirety, me and Sandra thought, since we're pretty much going to rename this the Jensen Ackles podcast, because that's all we fucking talk about.
No, we're not.
We are, though. We didn't do anything about Walker. Admittedly, that's because I don't want to talk about Walker.
Yeah, and admittedly, I really don't either. So trust me, if I wanted to, we probably would have, but that was not going to be a thing that was going to happen anytime soon.
No.
Yes.
But no, it's over. It's finished. So fair warning, here be spoilers for the end of season 3 of The Boys. If you haven't seen it, go watch another episode of the podcast, go watch the final of The Boys and come back to us. But fair warning, here be spoilers now. So Sandra, the resident Jensen lover, what do you think? What did you think about it? Give me your thoughts and I'll chime in.
Well, I guess, okay, so let's just I will probably just focus on, at least to start it off, just on like Soldier Boy.
Behind the scenes, listeners, she has no notes. This is unheard of. She has not come with any notes, lists, tables, nothing. She winging it.
Can I say that? Okay, so like overall, like in terms of all the episodes, I feel like my favorite episode with Soldier Boy was the second to last one, which I think was like a candle on the way to. I don't even know. It was something about a candle.
It was a candle to
light your way to bed. Or something like that.
So I'm going to pull up the Wikipedia now because I don't do well with shows that I can only watch one episode a week. I like to save up like 3 or 4 and then binge them all in a row.
Yeah.
So
I think it was a candle.
I'm sure it was a candle to light your way.
To
light you to sleep, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that overall, I thought that episode was just, I loved that episode overall. I felt like the themes really kind of went together, and I really liked how much more of, I think, Soldier Boy that we saw, and there was an indication that things were going to go a certain way. And I think Dee had talked, I mean, I'd seen a little bit of what she'd mentioned in our group thread. I was just disappointed by Soldier Boy as a whole. And I think maybe, of course, I could be putting a lot of emphasis and creativity on the writers' part, in that that's what they wanted us to be, was disappointed because there was so much buildup of this character. I mean, I just remember for the first 3 episodes, it was everybody was talking about Soldier Boy and Soldier Boy and Soldier Boy. And then Soldier Boy showed up and it was like, okay, but everything that he talked about, like he literally said, he truly was a disappointment. Like he talked about how his father called him a disappointment. And I truly feel like he was a disappointment, like across the board for everybody, in terms of there was really no arc. And maybe it's too early too for him to have an arc. So, he was introduced fairly quickly. And a lot of it was, I think, him being that piece that everybody needed to get from point A to point B. So he really just could have been like, a chess piece being moved around on the board. And maybe we weren't supposed to put a lot of emphasis on his growth as a character. But that speech about how, like, no matter what he did, his father was disappointed. And he just kind of repeated the same thing that his father had done. And again, maybe there wasn't a lot of time for growth in that, but he didn't care. He did not care. I will say Jensen did a really good job at not showing me any of Dean Winchester. And, people will talk about him. Oh, it was great to see. I think I saw somebody like, oh, look, there's Dean eating a burger. It's like, okay, well, you're going to have 50 million things that Jensen Ackles has done as Dean Winchester that you're going to see repeated just as a regular character in everything moving forward. But at the base of it, I don't see Soldier Boy being that same type of character that cares about people. There's no care there. He literally does not care. He talked about being with Crimson Countess because he wanted a bunch of Rugrats. Not that I think he wanted to nurture them. He just wanted them. So
yeah.
And he wasn't the soldier everybody had expected him to be. I mean, he definitely had the powers and he could definitely battle and fight when needed, but he wasn't there for D-Day. He wasn't there for all these things. He was just this placeholder, this symbol of America. And maybe that's where I'm coming from too, is that the episode was so disappointing to me in that it's such a reflection of everything that's going on in my country right now. The ending was particularly harsh for me. I really just felt so down after the ending, with Homelander and Ryan
that,
and all of that God, guns, and Homelander thing, and the group of people applauding after Homelander did what he did was just so very indicative of how we are just like sheep, or people can be sheep, and not see the inherent danger of following someone like that. So I mean, don't get me wrong, Jensen was gorgeous to look at as Soldier Boy. So if anything, at the end of the day, I think he did the job that needed to be done. But if they bring him back, which I'm glad it's open-ended, because I feel like they definitely won't ever make him, a major player again, so it could just be maybe towards the end. I mean, I don't know if Kripke intends to really keep to his 5-season, rule. If he's able to go 5 seasons, I've heard that, that's kind of how long he thinks it would go. And if it has an ending, then maybe Soldier Boy becomes a part of that ending. Honestly, like, I don't know, we could talk about stuff too, but I kind of like just that one scene with Soldier Boy with the older ladies, that kind of thing. I kind of like, I would like to see him with Grace Mallory as some weird twisted thing, because you saw her at the end, like putting him into a tube or whatever. And I was just like, wouldn't that be interesting if, like, at the end of the day, they did a little hookup that way. But and I know I don't know. I liked what he did with the character. I was just disappointed by it. And he wasn't even that great. Like, he needed help fighting and he couldn't get it up. He could not get that thing to just happen when he needed to. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, you are such a disappointment. You truly are a disappointment,
To be fair, I think that's intentional, because I don't know how much you know about the MCU and stuff, but I didn't know anything about the boys coming in, and I certainly, after I found out Jensen was going to be involved in season 3, I certainly didn't go and look at anything, so I didn't go and find any information. But it was my understanding that he was sort of like the Captain America figure,
right?
And I don't know if you've watched the movies in the MCU.
Yeah, I have.
So when Captain America was first around, when they first made him, quote unquote, he wasn't a soldier, was he? He was a figurehead. He was on TV. He was at the USO shows. He was essentially a fraud. They painted him out to be, he's on the front lines and he's a soldier and Captain America's fighting for our freedom, but it was all fake.
Yeah,
and I think that was Soldier Boy's thing as well.
Yeah, so, I get that.
Yeah, they lauded him up, like, he did the V trials and he was similar kind of. And my understanding of his powers before the Russians got hold of him was kind of similar to Captain America. Faster, stronger, invulnerable, accelerated healing. Just faster and stronger kind of thing. So I think him not being able to get it up, and finding out that a lot of the legends about him were lies.
Yeah,
that was part of the character that maybe in his head he'd turned it around to be real.
Yeah.
but it was all fake anyway. He was just the face on TV, you know, which I think if you put it in context with the whole season, or the whole show rather, that's quite indicative of a lot of the superheroes. You know, they act a certain way on TV, but it's all really fake.
Yeah.
And I think it
I
tied
get all
into that quite well.
Yeah. And I mean, I knew that was going to happen. I guess I still wanted to see, because like, and again, maybe it's just too soon, you know, because like I said, I think we've seen a slight shift in Homelander even over, but it's taken 3 seasons. You know what I mean? Like it's taken a long time. Same thing with even, you know, A-Train or Maeve, you know, like all of that stuff took time to see a little bit of a shift. You know, I mean, like Maeve did the ultimate hero thing, right? Like at the end of it, like she did that thing where she was like, I'm not going to worry about the revenge at this point. I'm going to sacrifice myself to make sure other people are safe. So she did the ultimate hero thing, right? Like, I mean, at the very end, and like took Soldier Boy out of the equation, and, you know, in the process lost her powers, which, you know, I think she's going to be fine with and better off with. I guess it was for me that it was the build up, and I should know better. Like The Boys is going to do that, right? Like they're going to set you up and then not give you any of the stuff that I think they intended. Or if they do, it's going to be in a way you don't expect it. So I guess the disappointment is just, and maybe it has to do with the way, you know, publicity wise, like they built up Soldier Boy too. And I think they did, you know, they really did. Like, he was going to be this really, really bad guy. And he really wasn't. He was just a dick. Like he was just an ass.
Come at me, fans of The Boys, who, when Jensen was announced to be joining your show, and you came after the Supernatural fandom like, oh, you don't even know. He's such a dickhead. He's an asshole. He's such a bad guy. You're going to have no fucking savior, Dean Winchester, in here. Blah, 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 blah. Come at me, guys, because he was just a dickhead. Like Sandra says, there was nothing inherently evil or bad about him. He was just a selfish prick. Yeah. So come at me, guys. Maybe I'm missing some nuance here. You know, maybe Soldier Boy in the comics is an absolute, you know, baby-eating monster. But this iteration of Soldier Boy was just an asshole.
Yeah, if Kripke really, I mean, they keep talking about toxic masculinity. He definitely embodied that. You know, there was just nothing really, I don't know, like
I think for me personally, and this could be a Kripke thing because it was prevalent in the first few seasons of Supernatural as well. Pick a lane. Now, I don't know if you've been in our Twitter group chat, but me and Dee were talking about this. Soldier Boy. Is he this guy that just wanted to, you know, settle down, have a family, have some kids, and he's had this really traumatic experience and he's got PTSD? And does he really just want to love? Or is he a stone cold bell end? Pick one. You cannot have both. You cannot try and paint him in this sympathetic light of, he was sold out by his team and he was tortured for like 40 years, whatever. Yeah, it was the 80s that he was taken, wasn't it? So like, oh my God, I feel so old. So, and you know, he was like stabbed in the back by his team and they all turned on him and he didn't know. And then there was that scene with Crimson Countess where he was like, I kept waiting for you to come and save me and you never loved me. So, you know, is he this guy that's just had this really, like, okay, he can be an asshole and we can still feel sorry for him for having a traumatic experience, because by everybody's account, Soldier Boy was no angel beforehand. You know, his team turned on him because he was an asshole. So, you know, but we can still go, you know, he's had this really awful experience and he's got PTSD. And, you know, maybe he's learned from it. You know, maybe he's going to be a better person. I mean, he wasn't, but he could have been, you know, there could have been an epiphany in there. So is he that? Or is he this stone cold, do not give a fuck about anybody, get in my way and I will cave in your face with my shield? Pick one. You cannot try and set up an arc of sympathy and then right at the very last second, the very last bit when he threw Ryan into that wall, be like, oh no, wait, no, he's a total dick. Like, no,
Yeah.
no. Like, all right, you like they didn't paint him to be a hero in any capacity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think pick a lane, and maybe Kripke made Supernatural, which is amazing. But maybe this is just a thing with him. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's like me. Maybe he just doesn't plot very well. Maybe he has a great idea for character, and he's like, yes, this, fuck,
Yeah.
because I do that.
Well, I think they put pieces in place, but again, like, I don't really think. I mean, I really didn't feel any. I don't think I felt any sympathy for him in any way through it. Like every time I heard about something, I was like, okay, well, yeah, he deserved that, or that makes sense. Like even with the like hearing the little bits and pieces and knowing he was already like up to some bad stuff, like when you saw the file and different things like that, that he already wasn't. He just wasn't somebody that I inherently wanted, felt sympathy for. And I don't know why that was. I don't know if that's something inside of me that was like, I don't know what it was. Can I just say, like, watching the finale, I didn't feel a lot of stuff. Maybe that's something else going on in me in general right now. But like, I just didn't feel a lot for his character aside from him being like really hot. Like that was it. It was like, but again, like how much of a shell can you really like, you know what I mean? It felt very, I didn't feel the sympathy. Like I knew what they were trying to do, but they weren't getting it out of me, if that makes sense. Like every time, because then they would show the kind of stuff he would do. So every time they'd say one thing or he'd say one thing, they'd give you the counter to it, and it's just like, well, I mean, like seeing what he did, I thought the whole Black Noir thing, the fact that he was the one responsible for, like, I thought it was really great writing and plotting that, when you saw Noir, I guess back, where was it? Was it Nicaragua, where everything like went to shit, and you saw Mallory wake up and you saw him without the helmet, brain damage, all of his face messed up. So my understanding is Soldier Boy was the one that did that to him. It wasn't that had happened in the battle or whatever. So then to know that and still see what Noir did, and I was so I wanted to see Soldier Boy and Noir go at it. If Soldier Boy was going to go out, I kind of wanted Noir to be the one to do it. And then for them to kind of like literally do a gut punch where Homelander was the one to take Noir out like that. I was just like, and that's just going to be another thing. Well, Soldier Boy's going to be like, well, you took that away from me too. He's like a big baby that you take his toys away and he gets fucking pissed. That's the kind of stuff that I can't stand to see. And again, to me, a man is not somebody who's macho. And, it's great to know somebody wants to take care of you. That's different than I know what's best. I know what the real deal is. Just follow my lead. What I say goes, or what I think is the be all end all of everything. And he did this thing where the nature versus nurture thing I thought was really strong in that second to last episode when they showed Butcher with his dad and how much he took on of his father and how much he was either battling against it or just accepting of it. And I think again, they showed Soldier Boy not in as great of a way as him just being exactly like his father, where he was going to consider his son a disappointment no matter what his son did. He was just going to take it at face value. And because you're not doing it the way I would do it, or you didn't do it my way, so it's not the right way. That nature versus nurture, like I feel like no matter which way you would have gone with Soldier Boy, he still would have turned out to be a dick. Right? Like he just wouldn't have taken that extra step to stop, think, feel, give into the emotion part of it, And then they kept doing, like, I still want answers to stuff like, why did he keep saying, did he hear something? Was it really just because he was high when they were out in the woods? Or is there something else going on there? Or was that an indication of he's got all these hypersenses and, that should have been like a clue. Oh, of course, he's Homelander's dad, like that kind of thing. Like, it's it's just a lot of open things that I kind of like. Again, I'd like to watch the finale again and see what, but I was just so disappointed. And then when they brought Ryan out, I was like, no. And then I'm like, is this going to be it? Is this going to make him? No, of course not. Let's slap the kid into the wall and like be a total dick and then not even care. Like, and of course he's not going to care. And I understand he was a figurehead and he was just a symbol. At the end of the day, symbols mean absolutely nothing if there's nothing behind it. And it feels like it just feels like a mirror as to where we're at right now. At least I feel, like my country.
It's quite a social commentary kind of show though, isn't it? So I think that was probably intentional. But again, it's that false idols thing, isn't it? It's that, oh yeah, he's a figurehead, but there's just fucking nothing going on behind that. Can we just, for a second, I know that we're probably going to focus on like Jensen on Soulja Boy and stuff.
Yeah.
But just that fucking scene with Butcher and Ryan, I was so happy with that because Butcher was so cruel at the start of the season. And then, there was like, I was like, oh, are they gonna go for that cliche? Is Ryan gonna, is Butcher gonna be the one that's there when Ryan wakes up and he's gonna be like, oh my God, fake daddy and stuff. And he just fucking didn't. And he was like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
It was perfect. It was, I said before that I wanted that scene with Soulja Boy and MM where MM was like, you murdered my family. And Soulja Boy was like, what? Just like no recollection, just really blasé about it. And I got it and it was great.
Yeah.
And that was exactly the same, that there was just like, there are consequences to your actions. And you personally, Butcher, this kid could have been good, but because of your cruelty, you've ruined him.
Yeah.
Because all he did was push him into the arms of Homelander. And then that final scene where he's watching everybody cheer after Homelander like blows that guy's face in half.
Yeah.
And he smirks and you're like, oh, this kid's ruined.
Yeah.
Oh God. There's no redeeming this one now. It's fucked.
So disheartening. It was, I was just like, I mean, you're right. I mean, and again, maybe that's a theme, all the things that are happening to a child growing up and what that does to them, and I mean, they kind of showed Homelander, you get a backstory about Homelander's quote unquote growing up and Butcher. And, it's like, how do you not see that how you're treating this child is going to have consequences, and I think Butcher had an interesting go of it this season too, not very redeeming in a lot of ways. He had a couple like moments, like again, protecting Ryan, hitting, knocking Huey out. So he wouldn't so these different ways of showing that he cares, but it's almost like a little too late for everything that he's doing. It's his initial like protection. Again, it's like, he's protecting himself from the pain, but in the end, he's hurting a lot of other people. I do like how they kind of are giving the females a lot of empowerment and ability to choose and that kind of thing. So I like that there was almost like not only just with Maeve, but Kimiko, and how she had some of the best fight scenes and everything felt like it was a plot, but it was like, it was a growth. Like every fight had a purpose to it. It wasn't just for show, like her kind of like with the dildos, like at the end of it, she's like seeing the kind of monster that other people were seeing her as. And then, the maniac one, like, she's taking ownership of being a badass to protect the people that she cares about for a common goal. That's a good goal. It's not just a revenge goal. It's something else. She was one of the best, I think the best characters. She didn't have anything to say in the whole season. And, as much as Starlight's a goody two shoes, I do like her relationship with Huey. And I like how they are trying to work through it and how much of a, he was kind of going to go that route, but then didn't,
I categorically disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree with that. I like Starlight, I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to grab hold of her and slap her and just be like, how much more of this are you going to take? Like, he manipulated you. He lied to you. Like, initially in the beginning, because obviously he was just trying to get inside Vote, you know, and then, you know, he told you that he feels emasculated because you're stronger than him. And you don't need to take that, girl. You don't need to take that. You tell him to take his fucking whiny ass somewhere else. Yeah. And I like Huey, but like, in the context of that relationship, I was like, that's a deal breaker. He needs to get shit together. You know, strong women are not a threat. I mean, they are, but like only if you're weak and pathetic, you know? And then like she was like pleading with him not to do the V, and he kept doing it. And then at the end, because Butcher knocked him out and didn't let him kill himself with the V. Oh, and they have this really romantic reunion. She should have just fucking slapped him. She should have been like, I'm glad you're alive. Now get the fuck out of my sight. I was really mad about that, because I really wanted her to have a fucking spine and be like, nah, no, I'll work with you, you know, because she joins the boys and that's fine. I'll work with you, but like, we're done. Like, too many things. You fucked up too many times here. Like, no.
That's interesting.
No.
I mean, I kind of look at it as, and I don't know, maybe it's because too, like I said, just kind of looking at the relationship as a whole, like helping somebody work through their shit while you're working through your shit kind of thing. And I don't see Huey as I see him as and I don't know, in my mind, he's still young. He's still learning. She's still young. She's still learning. It doesn't mean they're going to stay together. It doesn't mean it's going to work out the way it was. I liked that they, I guess, propped when needed to, I felt like he propped her up and took a step back. And that to me was kind of, he's understanding how the relationship could work and function if he's able to communicate and talk about it. And you don't necessarily get that right away. You know, you don't learn all those things. I didn't learn all those things, you know, in relationships. It took me a while to, and I'm still learning, you know, so I don't know. In that regard, I feel like they're learning together. I don't necessarily, I just think they have a banter about them that I like. I guess I'll put it that way. I feel like they work off of each other well, in terms of characters. And yeah, they're going to go through stuff and you're going to be like, oh my God, why are you doing this? And why are you okay with him doing that? And why, you know, she's out of everybody a little too goody. Like, and I think Huey is trying to work through his own stuff. I mean, when he was talking about his dad and the pizza rolls and like, I don't know. I was like, you know, him understanding, you know, that, you know, like sometimes you just do the best that you can to keep things together,
keep the lights on,
you know?
Yeah.
And I really want to see him, you know, at least a scene or something with his father again, you know, like I want to see that where they're okay with just that, because that takes a lot of strength, you know? And again, I think about, I guess for me, it's like Huey kind of maybe reminds me of me a little bit too, and like working through your shit, you know, and how, so yeah, I kind of,
I suppose,
and can I just say Huey's just, he has a really cute butt.
he's very cute. Huey's very cute. Jack Quaid is very, very like, Maeve was right. He should wear like a neon t-shirt that's like, I'm the world's biggest bottom, seriously. But he's cute as fuck. He is. I do like him. Yeah. I think between them, I think what stands out for me is she took after they split, after Soldier Boy came back and the team split, as it were, and she like really worked to expose Vought, and like she secretly recorded Homelander and things like that. And meanwhile, Huey was just off getting high.
Yeah. You know? That scene was just devastating with them in the van after they found Soldier Boy. I still, that picture of him just hanging out of the window of the van
just with
and
his
just like
hand.
just gone, and I'm just like, oh, that was really, that was, yeah, they did a lot with a lot of their characters. It was just, it sticks in your head. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, like, I would not have said any of the episodes were bad episodes. I understand you being disappointed by the finale, but
it was a good episode. I was just disappointed by it. It was a really good episode.
Soldier Boy, yeah.
No, I think just in general, really, I think it was just, there were just too many. Again, maybe it's just where I'm at. It just, none of it was. It was just feeling like
too many threads to try and pull together. They should have sorted some shit out before that. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I did like the way they did all of the different, like the different fights, you know, like, and how they kind of all kind of culminated together. I really wish had, I mean, I understand why. I kind of wish he'd had, when everybody had like been down for the count and was the only one there with Soldier Boy. I was like, is this going to be something? Is he going to be able to do something? But then I'm like, no, you know, he's going to be the better guy and not have to like continuously think that he's got to get revenge or vengeance. And he's going to, you know, it was all that, but I wanted to see that a little bit more. I mean, I know again, like so much was happening. I definitely should have probably rewatched it, but was he the one that put the mask over Soldier Boy's face, like,
yeah,
okay, so he helped with like that part of it that, you know, kind of like finally knocked him out. And I know there were a lot of pieces to that, but yeah.
Here's an interesting thought that I just thought of while I was replaying the final episode. I thought I think it was a good writing choice to have Butcher really trying to hammer in to Soldier Boy. Oh, he's not your son. You didn't raise him. You don't know him. To have Soldier Boy turn it back round when he hit Ryan and be like,
oh, absolutely.
He fucked your wife. Why do you care?
Yeah.
And I thought that was, you know, I did think that was really good.
Yeah.
Really good. But again, that came with that sudden like coin flip of, oh no, actually he's an unfeeling asshole, which was counter to everything they tried to build up. Because like, even when he was like going after Payback, you could see why. Like, vengeance is not inherently, I mean, it's not a great character trait to have, but it's not inherently bad. Like, you know, if your team, you're supposed to trust the team, because you like, he's like most narcissists. He doesn't know that he's a dickhead. He thinks he's great. Yeah. So, you know, your beloved team turns on you and sells you out to the enemy at that point. And then, you know, you get tortured for like 40 years and you come out and you find out that that's what had happened. Like, I don't think anybody would judge anybody for being like, oh no, we're going to kill them fuckers. No. No, we're not standing for that. So even the hunting down of Payback was okay. You know, like maybe we could have gone to therapy and talked about it, but
we're all about wanting therapy for our characters
that go to therapy. They all have daddy issues and none of them know what therapy is. So that, you know, that's fine. But they still, like I said, they're still trying to like maybe paint him as this kind of like sympathetic character, especially with the like blackouts and the thing. Yeah. Like, because it was never deliberate, was it? It was always triggered by something.
Right. Yeah.
Apart from that one last time.
Yeah.
Which Maeve like interrupted. So like they tried to paint this like arc of this like, you know, damaged soldier and blah blah blah, and then just at the end they were just fucking flipped a coin and they were like, nope, he's a dick now. Yeah. It was just, but I did really like that Butcher had spent so much time going, he's not your son, you know, you didn't raise him, he's not yours, blood doesn't matter. Yeah. You know, really trying to hammer it in to keep Soldier Boy on the side.
And then he got it. And this is what happened. And then
Soldier Boy's just like,
yeah,
fucked your wife.
Yeah.
And it's, why do you care about this kid?
Yeah. That's why I think, yeah. At the end of the day, I really do think that really Soldier Boy was inherently just a plot device. Like I think I have to get past the trying to expect more out of the character, right? Like, because I mean, everything hinged on one thing after another. Like, so I mean, that's okay, you know. And
kind of
like
Stormfront, kind of like Stormfront, just like a piece for everything to move around, to maneuver everyone into new positions.
But
to
see,
make
even though like, and I know you couldn't stand her from the beginning. I
hate her.
liked her in the beginning. Like I
Hate her.
did. I liked her. And then it was like, oh no, fuck. So it's like, they had me like the character. And then it was like just smashed it all down, like, into like little bits, like because she was like that, oh, here she goes, she's gonna like stir things up, and it's like, oh no, here she goes, she's gonna stir things up for a completely different reason, and it was like, oh no, now. So I guess I was kind of hoping, and again, I think it's just probably, I think Dee had mentioned the writing, probably that, but again, like I think Jensen did a good job of um moving it forward and giving you just what was necessary for that character. And again, it was a very short amount of time. So I can't expect a cathartic moment, because then it would just be like, oh, of course he's going to have this. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking, but when Ted and I were talking about it, I'm like, does this mean, is he going to go on Homelander's side now? And is it going to be a battle between, Soldier Boy and Homelander and everybody else? And I kind of was like into that. I wanted to see what that was going to do. I'm like, does that mean he's going to help, Homelander with Seven? Like, is he going to be on the team now? Like, is he going to be part of it with him? And I'm like, that could be super interesting, and give them time to see what that dynamic was going to be like.
That probably would have been a better plot twist, to be honest. If he'd have been like, I didn't want him to be like, I really didn't want him to fall all over himself and be like, oh my God, my son, my grandson.
No.
I didn't want that. But I think, Soldier Boy stepping up and becoming, even replacing Homelander as the head of the Seven, if you will, and being like, oh, the OG superhero. I think that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But I think me and you, we're incredibly biased because we're used to seeing Jensen take the leading role. So I think we expected more because we couldn't conceive of him being a secondary character. We're like, what are you talking about? He's the lead. Shut up.
Yeah.
And so I think we expected more. I think we expected his role to be more pivotal. We expected him to be the leading man because we've had 15 years of him being the leading man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely was trying to prepare myself for the fact that, he wasn't going to be, I'm like, I was really trying to I'm like, he's not going to be in every scene. He's not gonna be
it's a big fucking jump to go from Supernatural where he's like everywhere. Like it's the Dean show. I mean, it's not as the Dean show, but still, there was only 2 lead characters. So this was like a much bigger cast with a lot more, main roles.
Really an ensemble cast. Yeah.
I would be really interested to speak to someone who has no knowledge of Supernatural. I appreciate that's when, we're in the fandom. Anybody listening to this is definitely a fan of Supernatural before they're a fan of The Boys. But it would be interesting to get the opinion of someone who never watched Supernatural, doesn't know Jensen from Adam, has no preconceptions about him, to see what they thought of Soldier Boy in their show's context.
I did what I read. I was reading a couple tweets. There was one tweet yesterday that was really, really funny, and I think it's just for people who didn't know anything about Jensen prior to Soldier Boy, and I think it was along the lines of after watching Jensen Ackles in The Boys, I can now understand why my sister-in-law traveled 2 states to go see Jensen Ackles in a Supernatural convention or something like that. So it's I think that, you get I think if someone's talented, right, no matter what, there's going to be that they're going to get they did a good job. They did what they were supposed to do. And I think at the end of the day, I think he can always be relied on to do a good job with whatever role he's given. It may not be great or, I think that some of the stuff that he did was definitely not scene stealing, but he just knows how to work with his fellow actors. And I think that giving something so somebody else can get something back. So I think he did a good job. And I think he definitely does have a, I don't know. We keep talking about this, Carly, too. I don't know if he's never going to get huge, right? Like, I just don't think that's a thing. It was great to see the boys and see all of the build up and how much, but I think he's just going to be one of those solid working actors, you know, for a really long time, whatever he does. And that's great. I think that's great for him. But yeah, you're right. It's like, you know, I know I was giving myself the pep talks, like, it's going to be a small role. Like, after Ted and I went through 3 episodes in the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, they are going to drag this out.
The beginning was ridiculous. People, could you not blue ball us that hard? Good Lord.
I think Kripke loved it. You know, I think Kripke was wallowing in it, and he was like, you can see that they have a really good working relationship because of the kind of stuff that, you know, I mean, he did stuff with Soldier Boy that I don't think, like, you know, all the little like the Solid Gold and that weird song and like all the things he was having Jensen do was cringy, but it was like stuff that like worked in that world, right? Like, and like gave you a representation, an idea of what the character was about with these little nuggets. And Kripke was just reveling in it. And I think Jensen was like, sure, let's go, let's do this. This sounds like, you know, total fun.
Yeah, Jensen's up for fun. Jensen's up for a laugh, which is, you know, that's great. I gotta say as well, you know how sometimes people like they look like their name, which is like, I don't know if you know what I mean, but you know when someone tells you their name and you go, yeah, no, you're definitely a blank, or someone tells you their name and you're like, you don't look like a so-and-so. Like,
no, I get that.
Both my boys were named before they were born, but with my youngest boy, me and my husband had gone back and forth on a couple of names, and when he was born and I looked at him, I was like, oh no, you're definitely an X. There's no way we could have named you Y. You know, like that's your face. So Jensen is Jensen, and he looks like a Jensen, and it's fine. But if he'd have been called Ben Ackles, I could see that totally. I'd be like, yeah, all right. Like, the first time we heard his name, the first time we heard him called Ben, and I was like, yeah, all right, yeah, okay, okay, I can absolutely.
Would somebody call him Benny?
Oh God, no. It would have to be Ben. It would have to be Ben. Just Ben. But no, you Benny. Know, it was just one of those weird, things where I was like, because like I look at him and I was like, his face isn't a Dean, which is weird because I couldn't imagine Dean being called anything else.
Yeah.
But when I look at Jensen, I'm like, no, your parents could have called you Ben. It would have worked. Your parents had a weird obsession with the letter J, but then so did the Padalecki's. So, you know, fine, whatever, I guess. But no, it was just one of those things where I was like, oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
This is also a thing with Jim Beaver, because I consistently forget that his name actually is Jim, because in my head it's Bobby. Yeah. And I'm like, it's fucking Bobby. No, Jim. It's Jim. It's Bobby, but his real name is Jim for reasons best known only to himself. But it's Bobby. Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't help that they keep naming him Bob Singer and everything that he does. That's
my God.
Helping.
It was the final episode and they were like, oh, in Sioux Falls. And I was like, oh my God, how many more references?
Oh God. I of course, you know, I'm telling Ted that and he's just watching. I'm like, oh look, it's where Bobby's from.
Yeah, I was like, Dakota, he's from Sioux Falls. It's all coming together. Dakota Bob. And isn't that just such a weird twist of fate? Because that's from the comics, Dakota Bob and stuff like that. But isn't that just
it? Okay, yeah.
No, I thought it was like a supernatural nod.
Okay.
Especially because he was much more prevalent in this season than he was in previous seasons. Yeah. And I genuinely thought it was Kripke nodding to the supernatural fans, but it's not. Apparently, it's in the comics. Dakota Bob is from the comics, and I was like, isn't that fucking weird how that's worked out? That's amazing. Like I reckon the Sioux Falls thing was a nod though, because he's just from Dakota.
Yeah,
in the comics allegedly. When
they were like, well, this is perfect. Now we can throw Sioux Falls in, and nobody will know. Oh, that's neat. No, I didn't know that.
When they finally wrap this up, I will go and read the comics, but I don't want to, because I know that there's a season before coming. I'm one of those really asshole people that if I've read the book of something and then I watch a movie or a TV show, I'm like, that's wrong. That's wrong. That doesn't go like that. Yeah. That character doesn't do that. that's wrong. That didn't happen that way. I'm an asshole about that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
I don't want to preemptively ruin the boys for myself. Like, hopefully, if Kripke's only reckoning for 5 seasons, hopefully someone's not going to come along after he's like, well, I'm done now. I've told the stories I want to tell, and fucking run it into the ground for 10 more seasons.
Yeah.
Supernatural. And we love Supernatural, people. I'm not hating on Supernatural, but you have to admit, by the last season, it was struggling to keep his head above water.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, you know? The acting was still solid. The writing was in the ground.
Yeah.
It was dreadful. Okay, so this is the part of most podcasts where they go, and our podcast today is sponsored by blah, 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 blah. We're not sponsored. We do this purely for the love of the game. But what we do want to do is there's some causes that we want to highlight, places that we want to signpost people to on issues that mean a lot to us. So one of the first things that we want to highlight is the ongoing, you could call it a conflict. I think it's more accurate to say the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. It's ongoing. It's fallen out of media spotlight now, but, there are thousands of people still stuck in places in the Ukraine, lots and lots of people still affected. So there's 3 different charities we want to bring attention to for this one. The first one is World Central Kitchen, which is exactly as it sounds, charity that helps feed people all around the world. They're focusing a lot of their attention on the Ukraine right now because, as you know, with war, with conflict comes supply disruption. People are struggling for food, people are struggling for water, all things like that. So that's what World Central Kitchen is doing. They're there, they're on the ground, they're helping to feed people who are trapped in the Ukraine at the moment. The second cause we want to highlight for this one is Kids Save, which is, again, a charity that is, international, but they're also focusing a lot of attention on the Ukraine. They're trying to evacuate civilians, they're trying to help children and families, rescue them, get them out of conflict zones, get them out of danger, get them to other European countries that are safer to be in. So that's the second charity we want to highlight. And the third one that we want to highlight for exclusively for the Ukraine is Global Giving's Ukraine Crisis Relief Fund, which is a sort of more like a fundraiser rather than a charity like the other two, sort of like a Just Giving or a GoFundMe, but on a global scale. And again, that money's being divided up into where it's needed the most in the Ukraine. Whatever areas are needing the most, they're just trying to pull money, pull resources to help the families, the people that are trapped, isolated, and massively affected by this invasion. Again, as we've seen in recent weeks, it's fallen out of the media. It's not making the top headlines anymore, but that doesn't mean it's not still really important. It doesn't mean that there aren't still people dying daily, hugely affected by this invasion that would really benefit if you can help these charities. Your money's going to a good cause. So links for those will be in the descriptions.
And then on my end, just because the focus being more on the US and how crazy things are here in general over the past, I know it seems like forever, but things are really taking a turn for the worse, and it's just very apparent. So in my mind, my viewpoint for those in the US, educate yourself, find ways to take action. 2 of the main charities, organizations focus on ending gun violence and advocating for gun regulations in your state, whichever state you live in. Learn more about what's happening and how you can help end this tragedy that just becomes so numbing to the country that I live in. So for one, it's Moms Demand Action, and another is Sandy Hook Promise. And then in terms of educating, just learning how to support basic human rights. I just picked American Civil Liberties Union because it really covers the gamut: women's rights, LGBTQ, anything you need to learn about, make yourself knowledgeable, understand what's happening, take action, and the way you can take action through voting. So go to Vote.Gov, learn the system, learn what you need to do if you're not already registered to vote, and make sure your voice is heard that way.
Yep. So that would be those ones. And then the final sort of cause that we were wanting to highlight right now, and believe you me, guys, we've gone over and over this. We genuinely, neither of us know where to put our voices, where they're going to be the loudest, the most effective. But this one for me personally, being a member of the LGBTQ community, identifying as a queer person, it's scary right now. It is. It feels like, you know, we're really on the brink of something that's going to be horrifically damaging to our community. And I don't want to focus on the bigger movements, the bigger charities that are, you know, maybe dealing with things from a legal standpoint and fighting for our rights that way. I want to bring it down to the individual people that are being affected. So I have two charities to promote for this one. I have one based in the UK, which is Switchboard LGBT, and one based in the US, which is the Trevor Project. My apologies. They're both very similar in nature, that they are sort of crisis helplines for LGBTQ plus people who feel that they need to speak with somebody, who need that, you know, sort of immediate help and assistance. So they're both that kind of thing. You can talk to people over the phone, you can web chat with people, you know, they're safe spaces for anything that you might need help with if you are LGBTQ plus and you find yourself struggling. I did look extensively. There doesn't seem to be one single charity, one single organization that's doing something internationally. Can only assume this is because the challenges faced by the community vary massively from country to country. But the Trevor Project does have some resources for international LGBTQ plus youth. So I'll be including a link directly to that as well. Again, there's not any one place you can go from anywhere in the world, but it's certainly a start if you are outside of the UK and the US and you need help. You know, it really does feel like everybody's against us at the moment, and the only thing we can do is band together and protect each other. If you need help, please reach out to one of these charities. They will be there. They will support you.
Do you want to wrap this one up?
Yeah. yeah. Now we went off on a rant. So yeah, we'll wind this one up now. Do you want to do?
I am going to try, and I'm not even going to look at my notes. So here we go. So thanks for listening to us rant about the boys. And we'd love to know your thoughts as to what you thought of it. Are we totally off? Did you get something different out of the season? Again, like, I love the season overall. I think it's a great show. I'm looking forward to season 4 and what's happening and what's going to occur with these characters. They definitely have left a lot of threads and storylines to work on. So I'm interested in what happens. Like I said, it's just me in my head. And it's just, I'm in a place where just disappointment is like the flashing billboard that just keeps happening. But
reasonable.
If you want to reach out to us, you can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. On Twitter, we're idling in the letter D Impala. If you want to reach out to me, we are going to get back to some AO3 fan fiction stuff very soon. My AO3 account is Drasna, Drasna. On Twitter, I am Kyle Writes. That's SKYLEWRITES. And if you want to read some of my original fiction, you can find it at sandrakyle.com.
Wow, she did that all without any kind of I tell you, she's brought no notes today. No notes. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
So yeah, reach out to us. What did you think about the finale? What did you think about Jensen's portrayal of Soldier Boy, his arc, anything like that? Do you think he's a good guy gone wrong? Is he just a total douchebag? You know, let us know. Reach out. Let us know what you thought. I gotta say, I'm also really excited for season 4 of The Boys. Jensen being cast was what brought me to the show, but
it's a great show. Yeah,
it's a great show, and I'm not going to leave now. His character's done with. You know, I'm excited for season 4 as well. So absolutely reach out to us, tell us your thoughts, and if you want to contact me directly, I am Carly Karma on Twitter and AO3. Like Sandra says, we're gonna come back to AO3. We're gonna come back to some, you know, sort of like fic stuff. I feel like we've been pretty Jensen heavy for the last few weeks, to be fair.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, the boys kind of took over, so can't help it.
The boys kind of took over. I tell you, I'm secretly going to go into all of the social media places that we post this and just edit it and just call it the Jensen Ackles podcast, and see how long it takes her to figure out that I've done that. Because I mean, it started as Supernatural, but you know, that's done now. We got to branch out, don't we?
We're getting back there. We're getting back.
Yeah, we're going to move back to AO3. So yeah, if you want to contact me, it's Carly Karma. However you think that's spelled, I guarantee you it's not. So it's Kilo Alpha Romeo Lima Echo Echo, and then Karma as you spell it normally. Same profile picture in both places, in case you think, hey, I wonder if there's two people out there with a weird spelling name. Same profile picture, probably me. So, you know, jump over to AO3. You can find our fix on there, and you can also find the links for any podcast fix that Sandra's done as well. So yeah, come check us out. Reach out to us on Twitter, send us an email, all that good stuff. And thanks for listening, guys.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.